required. In such cases, we can go for IPR, interproximal reduction, or proximal stripping like we call. And since it's a clinical step, this we have to perform in our clinic, I will discuss about IPR a bit in detail, because we see a lot of cases where the IPR is done and that is not so much proper. That will determine the success of the treatment. Definitely that will look very simple. IPR will seem very simple, but if it is not done properly or not done meticulously, that can definitely have an impact on the result what we get. Okay. So IPR was popularized by Sheridan, the same person who found out Essex retina. So recently only I was going through a systematic review, and most of the articles what was mentioned in that systematic review was Sheridan's articles only. So in those articles he has clearly mentioned how to do IPR, how much IPR we can do per tooth, all that is clearly mentioned. So if you are interested, you can go back and read Sheridan's article. So what is IPR? So IPR is nothing but stripping, proximal stripping that is done, interproximally. And when you give a case to us, and if that case requires IPR, we give you an IPR report like this. So IPR report will tell you how much IPR has to be done. For example, 1-1 mesial and distal, how much IPR has to be done, and 1-1 to 1-2 mesial. So you have to, in between 1-1 and 1-2, you have to add both these values, and that much IPR you have to do in between. So it's very easy. If you follow the chart well, there's hardly any issue that you will face. So IPR is basically done in various cases. It is done in cases where there's a crowding and we need to decrowd it, or in cases where there's a black triangle. So if there's a black triangle, means we do the IPR in the incisal area, make the wall straight, and then we close it. So that will settle the black triangle issue to a certain extent. Then in cases where there's a Bolton's ratio discrepancy. So this is one thing what you can have in your practice. This is IPR gauge. The IPR gauge what we have is Shaw's IPR gauge. So this is like one-time investment. You need to purchase it once only. You can use it for any number of cases. This is autoclavable also. So if you are interested, you can either order it from our website, or you can get in touch with our executives. So it comes like a bunch of keys. So 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 and 0.5 is there. So based on how much measurement has to be done, you can use that particular key. Okay, so this is how you have to use it. Make sure that the gauge passes uniformly incisogingivally. So if it is 0.2 mm reduction, what has to be done means you have to break the contact, and you have to make sure that the 0.2 mm gauge is passing uniformly. Okay, so if there's any doubt if it is passing uniformly, you can just ask the patient if they are able to feel it on their gums. So if they are able to feel it on their gums, means the 0.2 mm reduction done is uniform. No, it's not flat. So that is why it's always better to use this one rather than using a burr. If you're able to use the mechanical strips are there.
So it won't be uniform. Cervically it will be more, and only the contact area is going to be 2. It's going to be more wider.
Yeah, it's going to be more wider, but 0.2 mm means 0.2 mm should be there in the gingival area.
So 0.2 means it's in the gingival area.
Yeah, in the gingival. No. So that 0.2 mm should be, because if 0.2 mm is there in the gingival area only, the tooth is gonna move according to how you plan. So that is how you have to make sure, because sometimes when the case comes, doctors will use the burr, and that will be only extending till the middle third. So the gauge is not gonna pass till the gingival area. So that is what I was mentioning. So the most important thing what you have to look out for is maintain the anatomy of the tooth. That should look the same tooth. The shape should be same, because sometimes when we see, the IPR might be done aggressively, so that will take away a whole lot of crown structure. That shouldn't be the case how it comes. So just spend a bit of time. So there is IPR burr that is available, the strips that is available. So according to your convenience you can use, but whatever way you do, make sure you preserve the anatomy of the tooth. That is very important. So this is the Strauss & Co strip that I was talking about. So this is like a single-sided and double-sided strip is there. So there are other company strips also that is available in the market. So based on your convenience you can purchase. But the advantage with this strip is that the handle is long. So it's very easy to cut it in the posteriors and all. So if you are interested, this one also you can buy it. And if you follow the correct color grading, color coding, if you follow it properly, then definitely you can do a very good job in IPR. So this is the IPR burr. So if you are attempting IPR with burr, you need to be very careful and always make sure that you do IPR with a burr that is designated for IPR. Never attempt IPR with crown cutting burr. That is one common mistake that I always see, when cases come back. So that is very important. You need to make sure that you use IPR burr, because if you see the IPR burr, it's very much thin when compared to crown cutting burr. This is very slender, so you can easily break the contact. So it's up to you which armamentarium you want to choose. But if you are using burr, you need to be very careful. So this is the IPR burr I was talking about. This is Strauss & Co. IPR burr relief. So depending on how much reduction has to be done and depending on what area you need to do IPR, you can choose the burr. So this comes as a set of 7 burrs. And also Mani's burr is there, which is economical. That also has very good IPR burr. So according to your convenience, you can choose the armamentarium. Okay. So just a video on how to do IPR with the burr. So like I mentioned, the IPR burr is very much thin at the end. So first you do the IPR, and if there's any kind of sharp edges, you need to polish it off. And another thing is, when you hold the aorta, if it is a burr with taper, never hold the aorta like this and do, because that taper will come onto the preparation. So you can use it like this and do. So according to your convenience, or you can just use burr, just use strip, and vibrating strips are also there. This handpiece strips are there, quadrangle handpiece strips are there. So there are a lot of things that is available. Then disc is there, the IPR discs are there. So according to your convenience, you can use, but make sure you preserve the anatomy of the tooth. Then the next one is, after doing the IPR, make sure you polish the surfaces well. Otherwise, that will lead to plaque accumulation, that can lead to proximal caries also in future. So polish it well.